Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani and welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism. So everybody wants to know the why of narcissism. Why are they like this? Why is my parent like this? Why is my partner? Why? So in this video, we're going to unpack a big challenge that's raised when we do this whole process of understanding why someone is narcissistic. The number one question that comes up around narcissism when I speak to groups or do question answer sessions about narcissistic relationship is why? Why, Dr. Ramani? Why is this person like this? The why is complicated. It's a complex mix of temperament, early childhood experiences, adverse childhood experiences such as abuse and trauma, culture, parental behavior, gender, society, and there's no formula. Two people with a similar balance of these factors of temperament, early childhood, and so on could have very different personalities. There are very few absolutes in psychology. While trauma can be an explanatory factor for the development of a narcissistic personality, it is more likely, trauma is more likely to be associated with downstream things that are not narcissism, like anxiety in adulthood. So by the time we get to the why and recognize that the narcissistic person in front of you may have had their personality shaped by trauma or by being spoiled by overindulgent, entitled parents, or by cultural practices that played into golden child gendered stuff, ultimately what you have in front of you is still an invalidating, entitled, dysregulated, unempathic person. That part remains the same. The way the sausage was made is different, and it is still not good for you. Ultimately, those patterns are not good for anyone else in a relationship with them. And I get it. If someone is just being so awful to you all the time, you want to understand the why of it. Somehow understand the motivation behind it. Maybe people think understanding that will help it make more sense. Now, the other side of this issue is one of the core elements of the narcissistic personality, the insecurity. The grandiosity, arrogance, entitlement, lack of empathy, validation seeking, it's all a suit of armor, a set of defenses unconsciously deployed to manage a cauldron of anxiety and shame that is lurking all the time for a person with a narcissistic personality. Whether it's a big public personality who's behaving badly or the person sitting right next to us, we can clearly see how insecurity is operating for them. Hell, you even kind of sometimes feel bad for them. They don't have the tools to be able to make the self-effacing comments, to be safe while being vulnerable, to just be human and be ordinary. But it is hard, no matter how insecure they are, to feel bad for someone who is always manipulating and mocking you. But the insecurity at the very least can definitely pull for pity. And so you find yourself going between pity, anger, and hurt all the time. So all of this gets mashed up. The possibility of traumatic or other bleak childhood backstories, the insecurity, you may feel bad for them. And this applies whether it is your parent, your partner, friend, family, colleague, you feel bad. And that's your empathy talking, and that's fine. However, here is where the car goes off the cliff. Many survivors will say, I don't have the right to feel so mad at them. I don't have the right to be upset if they did have such a bad childhood, or they're from a different culture, or they don't have that much money, or they're insecure. They're just having a bad time of it. They have a tough life. I have no right to feel bad at them. Nope, not true, and you lost me there. You have the right to feel whatever you want, including mad, disgusted, sad, upset. Their behavior is hurtful and it's hurting you. It doesn't matter their backstory. You can certainly have empathy for the backstory and even be able to see it clearly and understand where they're insecurity and the subsequent behavior comes from, keep that empathy. It's good for you and it's good for everyone else. But empathy doesn't mean that you deny yourself. That we call abnegation. We call it self-flagellation. We call it self-denial. Don't confuse empathy with those things. But sadly, the message from society all too often is, oh, someone's going through something, which is code with, oh, so put up with it. Nah, no more. Too many people are putting up with other people's stuff, and nobody's supporting these people that are putting up with everything. I keep bringing up this concept of multiple truths because we live in a world where everyone wants stuff to be black or white, good or bad, one way only. Apparently, critical thinking went the way of the BlackBerry one day and no one does it anymore. The multiple truths are the narcissistic person is behaving really badly, they had a tough life, they're really insecure, they hurt you, you are angry. That can all coexist. The silencing of people who are harmed by antagonistic people, whether that is a self-silencing or a silencing by others, is simply not okay and really does harm to them. Everybody has a right to be heard. And it also means, though, that you don't need to get into the mud and go eye for eye on them and treat them as badly as they treat you. It's just not good for you. You can slowly disengage. They will never be clear on what their motivations for what they do are, but at least you can be a little more clear. Silencing your own feelings, telling yourself you don't have the right to feel what you feel, doing that distances you from yourself. It harms you. And sometimes can be associated with other maladaptive ways of coping that are designed to numb you, like drinking alcohol, using drugs, shopping, spending, eating. Feel. It's important to feel. Lots of people have tough backstories, and they're really lovely people. The tendency of the narcissistic person to be a victim when it's convenient for them and gets them validation and gets them out of trouble, that plays on the empathy of the folks around them who can often feel silenced by those backstories. Please, always retain your empathy. Feel bad for them if you need, or if you want, or that's how it feels. Feel pity for them. And simultaneously also allow yourself to feel what you feel. That is your right. I tell you, that is the most complicated balancing act in the world, though, to feel the pity and the guilt about their backstory, then at the same time to feel hurt. Those two things, that's that cognitive dissonance. And so their backstory often becomes a justification. Your hurt in the face of their bad behavior, which may even be in part be explained by their backstory, is still hurt. Remember that, because the more you deny that, the more that you slowly, again, disengage from your true sense of self. And that can really will take a toll on you in the long term. Thanks again.